Hey everybody, welcome to today's, I was going to say very special, but I'll leave that up to you to decide. Today's episode of Roll20 Presents Ryuutama. As you'll notice, it's just me. It's me and you. And the reason for that is that today we're going to take a little bit and we're going to put together some pre-game stuff. We're gonna prep. We're gonna prep. And prepping for this game means doing Ryujin character creation. So the Ryujin, remember, is my character in Ryuutama. So in this game, I get a character that sort of watches over and records what the PCs are doing. He's a big old and scary NSA dragon. Surveillance dragon. No, that's not true. The Ryujin is a character who can guide the characters along, has access to some magic powers that can change the way that the world kind of works, and it's kind of a way to change the flavor of the game depending on the color of the dragon. So we'll talk a little bit about what all of those different abilities look like and everything when we get over to doing that. That'll be the first thing we'll do today. I'm also going to work with you to build the world that our characters will be exploring, and we'll build a town because I want to have at least one town prepared. Now you can do some of this, on the fly in the game, but I like to do it at least once to sort of prep myself for what that does. Now, this is really interesting to me because it's so rare that you find a game that like legitimately straight up says you get a character. There is a GM PC in the game. And I don't like that. I feel weird about that kind of character in a normal game, but this game is built for it. This game has that incorporated. So we're gonna start there today. Let's put together our Ryujin and see what they can do. Let's see what they're about. Let's make our Trogdor, shall we? So I'm gonna pop over to my map screen. There we go. So here's my Ryujin character sheet. My Ryujin, I'm using a little stand-in picture. Look at this adorable, look at it. Look at how adorable this is, everybody. It's so good. Dave made this for me. This is the work of Arath. This is my little pixel character. I'm doing a little Final Fantasy VI finger wag. I'm gonna use that as my stand-in for my picture. But we'll find some more dragony stuff later. All right, so the first thing that I need to do when I'm determining my region, when I'm making a region, is to pick the color of dragon. So the color of dragon, let me just take a look at my rulebook here. My color of dragon, there are 4 types. Each region is determined their abilities and their artifacts, what they can do, and the kinds of stories they get told because of that, based on their color. So there are 4. There's Midori Ryu, which is the green dragon. Midori is Japanese for green. Almost none of the words in this game are like made up fantasy names. They're just things in Japanese. So Midori Ryu, the green dragon, involves orthodox journeys involving adventure and exploration. Now, this type is recommended for beginners and GMs new to Ryuutama, so I'll probably go with Midori Ryu, but let's talk about our other options. Ao Ryu, so blue dragon or azure dragon. Aoi is like sky color. Love, friendship, and human drama. This type is for GMs who want to create stories about the characters' human relationships to each other. Now, that's my jam. Azure dragon, I'm all over that shit. You know me. I like interpersonal stuff in games, but I'm gonna maybe our second adventure will come in with the Azure Dragon, and then as we move away from the sort of pastoral stuff and into the darker side of Ryuutama, we get Kurenai Ryu. Kurenai is Crimson, so the Crimson Dragon, a dragon of battle and competition. This Ryujin color is for GMs who want to focus on the combat system of the game. So lots of abilities for inspiring battle, for creating battle scenarios. So if you want to do a fighting situation, you can jump in with Kurenai Ryu. And then Kuro Ryu, so Kuro black. So conspiracy, betrayal, and tragedy. This is a Ryujin for darker stories. It can be difficult to use well. So this Ryujin is recommended for experienced GMs. Now I'm not an experienced GM. I know my limitations. We're gonna stay away from Kuro Ryu. But what's interesting here is you don't pick this character and play them for the whole campaign all the time. Each journey is the purview of a particular dragon. So while today I might make my Midori Ryu, later I might decide to make a Kuro or Kurenai Ryu if I want to tell a darker story with the same PCs. So you can kind of move around from character to character as the GM, which is again also really sort of interesting. I mean, it's not like a GM doesn't get a bunch of different characters in a role-playing game normally, and I'm still playing all the, Neko goblins and other travelers and townsfolk and bandits and whatever in the world. But my main character, my overarching kind of umbrella character, is going to be this Ryujin. So I'm going to make one. I'm going to make one for this character. So for this campaign. So. To select my Ryujin, the first thing I need to do is choose my shapeshifted appearance. I guess I need a name for my Ryujin. I don't know. What's a good name for a green dragon? Sea Breeze. I don't know. What kind of names do dragons have? What's some other stuff that's green? Swamp Scum. No, that's not a good name for a dragon. Shenlong. Yeah, Isera. Right, exactly. Basil. Oh my god, I'm naming this dragon Basil. Alright, so this dragon is going to be named Basil the Wise. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, chat. And this is a Midori Ryu. Okay. So my Midori Ryu, he is a first level dragon. I can gain levels, so the more stories you tell of a particular kind, the more powers you get. It's so surreal for me. Like the idea of having a GM level up is so weird. I can't think of any other game that has that. So I'm excited to explore that as a GM. And then I gotta choose my alternate shape. So all Ryujin have 3 forms: a horned human, a great dragon, and one other form. This third shape change is a non-threatening one they can use to approach the travelers. The third form has nothing to do with the color of the Ryujin. One Ryujin might take the shape of a white serpent, another might be an elderly human seer, another might transform into a large, beautiful bird. When creating a Ryujin, pick the third form you can assume and write the shape change appearance on your sheet. So Basil, our Midori Ryu, Basil can turn into a third shape. That's not so obviously a dragon. Now, we don't know what is in our world yet, but basically we're going to go with kind of a Final Fantasy vibe on this stuff. So bunnies, bunny people, Moogles are probably acceptable if we want to get really fan servicey. I kind of like the idea of Basil turning into a parrot. And it would also indicate a little bit about the kind of space the world is in, right? If we make Basil a parrot, chances are pretty good there's going to be some kind of like parody. There's going to be some kind of like jungle-y like stuff going on. Otherwise, it'd be really out of context. So, oh my god, a slime. That's pretty good. Let's go with parrot. So Basil's alternate shape is a small green parrot. Excellent, a little green parrot. Okay. Cool. All right. So we record our level. Ryujin begin at level 1 and can grow as high as level 5. Higher level Ryujin can cast more Benediction. We'll talk about Benediction in a little bit. And assume a human form and travel with the travelers. So your character, your dragon, starts as a dragon or a man or a dragon man, and their third shape, but eventually can at higher levels become basically a full-fledged traveler and like go on journeys with the travelers, which I wonder mechanically how that interfaces and what that's going to feel like if we get there. But we may set Basil aside and play another dragon later. So let's keep an eye on that. So I start at level 1. I record my life points. Now your life points represent your health and vigor. They allow the Ryujin to use Benediction and Reveal. We can see those rules for detail. So you can see down here, Benediction and Reveal. These are my my special powers. Now, like a character, I have hit points essentially that I use, and when I expend them, I get to use my abilities. So I start with 3, and my current life points are also 3. Okay, so I got 3 and 3 for those. Cool. Okay. Whoa, this is intense. Okay, so listen to this. So at the end of every adventure, at the end of every journey, a Ryujin's LP refreshed their maximum score. That's nice, right? However, if a Ryujin's LP drops to 0, the Ryujin dies. Their fallen body glows, then disappears. Once a Ryujin dies, they're gone forever, never to return. This can happen when a Ryujin spends their last remaining LP on an ability. If the Ryujin dies in the middle of a journey, the journey must either end immediately, or a new Ryujin steps in to guide the journey to its end. So a Ryujin can sacrifice itself to like save the characters or to create an aspect of the story. That's heavy. Woo, drastic. All right, so we have 2 life points we can spend, and we have 1 that will keep us from dying. All right, so now we got to choose an artifact. So this is right here, my artifact section. Every Ryujin gets a tool that provides Ryujin with mysterious powers. It might be a great sword, a ring, or a chalice, but whatever form it takes, manipulation of the artifact allows you to sway the natural order of the world. So each Ryujin type has 3 artifacts to choose from. I'm going to get you to help me pick. So the green dragon, Midori Ryu, I can choose one of these 3 items. I can choose an encyclopedia. This is a reference book that contains basic information about the world. And all this means is we're going to use the rules exactly as they're written in the book. It's my way of saying I promise not to change the rules. Cross my heart. As a GM, I will not change the rules. I will use the encyclopedia and we'll stick to the book. Which I think is fascinating, right? Because it implies... This is the implication from a game design perspective. This implies that if you're not Midori Ryu carrying the encyclopedia, you are going to change the rules. You've given yourself the right to change the rules. It's fascinating. How many games tell you explicitly you cannot mess with the rules of this game unless you take this artifact? It's nuts. It's so cool. What a weird idea. Okay, so the encyclopedia. I can run the game with the rules as written. Bog standard stuff. Seems a little dull, but maybe not. Maybe whatever. We'll talk about it. I can take a sextant. So the sextant indicates that the GM has created a few original rules and will be using them. Now I don't have any new rules made up yet, but in the future I might. So that would be worth considering. It signals to the players too. Yeah, and that's a good point, Quiet Wraith. It signals to the players, look. I am choosing this artifact. I will not change the rules on you. Or I have a sextant. I made changes to the rules. Then the players can say, oh, what are they? And we can talk about them. But it doesn't say anything about the players getting to say no, right? I'm choosing an artifact. And that's just how it goes. And then the torch. The torch brightens the path ahead and guides the way towards growth. At the end of each session, all the experience gained by the PCs is doubled. It's like a 2x experience weekend. I think I'm just going to go with Encyclopedia because it's the easiest one. It's sort of the most straightforward. But later, I could see those others being useful. But think about this from a sort of metagame perspective. And this is what's fascinating about playing games that evolved in a different cultural space than D&D. They do things that no Western role-playing game would necessarily have thought to do, right? They take strange risks or create mechanisms that don't necessarily make sense in a more traditional sort of Western RPG context. So we're going to take an encyclopedia. And let's see. If you wish, you can name the artifact to give it some flavor. I'm going to call it, we're going to inscribe it as, it's going to be our GM notebook, the notebook of the great masters. Yeah, and we can change these around. Now, what this is doing if you choose, like, let's talk about the torch for a second. So if you choose the torch, what you're saying is, I want to boost your XP, right? Maybe you want to take a journey that leads up to something bigger or scarier or more intense, right? So you could say, okay, I'm going to guide you to the site of a battle. We're going to take a journey where you're leading a band of warriors to the site of a great fight that's to come, right? And so you're going to be guided by, Greenwood, the Comet Dragon, and he's a Midori Ryu. He has a torch, and he wants to boost. We want to boost your experience so that you're ready for the fight. So this is going to be a journey about lighting the torch in the darkness, right? About figuring out some things about your character before we get into the big scene. So it's a way to say, I'm preparing you for something, which is, I think, really cool. It's tied to the mechanics in a neat way. Now, there was a question. Filipov says, what do we do if you don't have the Encyclopedia and you don't have the Sextant? Now, remember, the Encyclopedia says, I promise not to change the rules. The Sextant says, I've already changed the rules. If you have the torch, I imagine, I would assume from that third state, it's I might, but we can change them together. It's not an authoritative stance about that. At least that's how I would interpret that. Players, you don't know if I've changed the rules, or I might plan to change the rules as I go. But since I have the Encyclopedia, I am promising not to change those. Now, just for the sake of it, let's take a look at, like, the Blue Dragon's artifacts, right? So remember, just as a compare and contrast. So Aoryu, the blue dragon, the artifacts they have are a crystal, and the crystal lets you survive damage that reduces you all the way to minus 20 hit points. You don't die until you reach minus 21. So it makes you survivable. This is the sort of GM saving you crystal. So this way you can make characters that are more likely to get hurt. You can take a ring, and the ring tells the characters that all of the PCs are relatives, students, or disciples. It's a way of just, like, framing up, like, I am choosing this because I'm choosing this artifact. All of you have to be related, students or disciples of a master, right? Maybe you're traveling with traveling to meet your a trainer, or you're going to study at the feet of a monk or something. But you're all related. It ties the party together by choosing that artifact. And then mascot, as an artifact, makes the Ryujin like an actual person. It kind of bypasses the level process and just blunk plops you down as a character. And the Ryujin, whether you as a GM want to tell the characters this or not, but they're a person that follows the characters around. So these artifacts really do bend the rules quite a lot. Or, as we have with ours, make a statement that we're not bending the rules, right? So that's cool. I like it. It's neat and weird. It's very weird. Cool. All right. So we've chosen our artifact, and we're going to. Here, let me zoom in a little bit so y'all can see these a bit better. We've chosen our artifact, and now we're going to choose our benedictions, I believe. So let's see here. I see. So I think I have all the Green Dragon benedictions. So my benedictions, my special powers as a game master. Let me double check. I just want to make sure I don't take too many at the beginning. Here we go. Benediction. Oh no. Okay. No, that's not true. I have one. I get to pick one. So you got to help me. So once you progress beyond first level, and at each level you get a single slot to gain a benediction. So let's see here. Oh, Ryujin can also cast benedictions not assigned to slots. By spending 1 LP, you immediately activate benedictions. Okay, cool. So we get all of them, but we don't have any slots. And then at level 2, we're going to gain slots, and those will make it so we don't get penalized for casting them. So right now, if I want to use any of my benedictions, it will cost me my LP. So I can only do this twice during this journey. So let's talk about what my benedictions are. The benedictions that I have as a Midori Ryu. Yeah, technically I don't. You're right. I don't have a slot at 1. So I have 3, right? And again, these are not like special powers in the player sense. They're like narrative bending powers. So I have the Tale of the Journey. That's my first one. So let's let's add that in here. And this is the one that tells me that I'm just a small town boy. No, this is so okay. This is what it allows me is I can choose up to 2 PCs who roleplay ardently, pursuing the goal of the journey, and they can ignore all weather modifiers for the rest of the session. It's pretty cool, right? So it's my way of rewarding it. This is plugging in. If you kind of think about role-playing games and think about the way they work, so this is plugging into the reward cycle. I'm sacrificing one of my LP to reward good role-playing with being able to ignore weather penalties, right? Which will encourage the players before they move out into the world. Say there's a blizzard. They're like, well, we should have a scene around the campfire where we ardently pursue the goal of the journey, or we should like press on despite danger, right? It's a way to tell me we need that bonus, and we know the green dragon is looking after us. So that's cool. That's something I can do. I also, oh yeah, I should change my date here. There we go. Okay. Now I also get the Tale of Nostalgia. And the Tale of Nostalgia allows, if the PCs roleplay having nostalgia for home, they can ignore all negative effects of a mind-based status effect for the rest of the session. This affects up to 2 PCs at once if they meet this condition. So kind of like how, if you watch the West Marches, kind of like how Steven rewards flashbacks with inspiration in 5e Dungeons & Dragons, we reward Tales of Nostalgia with avoiding mental effects. So if you are exhausted, characters can bolster themselves. If you're tired or confused or whatever, you can bolster yourself with a reward. And the Ryujin, which is to say me, watching over you, can impart to you a bonus to press on if you hang out and talk about home. And then I also have, finally, the Tale of the Traveler's Journal. And the Tale of the Traveler's Journal is an ability that I can use at the end of a session. Up to 2 PCs who write about their journey in a travel diary receive their character level times 300 in gold. It's kind of cool. So I can reward them if they make up stories. If they write in their journal, I can give them gold for it. It's a way to directly, like, oh, you find a pearl under your pillow. Or, like, I think that there's a lot of sort of happenstancey stuff. Like, the characters don't know that a dragon is watching over them, probably. They might learn it over time. But there's this idea of magical things happening. There's a kind of bypassing of verisimilitude in a game where you can say, oh, the dragon must be watching over us, or, oh, what good luck, I found a bucket full of coins in this old abandoned well. There are ways that you can kind of bypass and look at the game as a game first and as sort of a believable narrative second, because there's this watch over dragon that kind of like gives you benefits, which is pretty cool, I think. Now there are some other common benedictions. The common benedictions, and I won't roll all of them on the character sheet, but we'll talk about them now. So the common benedictions, they are available to I think any dragon, any Ryu, and you want to add these to slots later because they they cost a big number of LP. Like, for example, the benediction, which controls time, this one can't be set into slots, and it costs 2 LP. It's huge. This is a big deal. Probably not going to use this at first level because it'll all but kill my dragon. You rewind time. You just flat out rewind or fast forward time. So again, think about this as a tool for the GM. Why does this exist in the game? Let's talk about it. So if you use the past benediction to control time, in the middle of combat, one of the PCs fumble a dice roll and dies. This event leads to the total defeat of the party. By using this benediction, the GM can rewind time back to the beginning of combat. You go into town. A bunch of really bad things happen. The characters get in a bad spot. Pay your 2 LP. Wind it back. You're walking into town again. Now this is huge. This is huge control for the GM to be able to just say, nope, none of that happened. I'm spending my LP. We're going back to the beginning of this sequence. Like that's a thing that like I think really dramatically impacts the potential of play, knowing that the GM can at any time rewind to a point where they want to. So if something doesn't go right, you can just and this isn't just to protect the PCs, right? You're role playing, so it's through the goals of your dragon, but you want to rewind back to, like, say you're playing a black dragon, right? And the players overwhelm their enemy and come out victorious. You can just use this benediction to rewind time. The dragon can sacrifice themselves to make things worse, right? To say, oh no, you got the good ending, we're gonna go back. So kind of a big deal. Now you can fast forward as well. You can use benediction to control time to move forward. You can jump straight to wherever you like, right? You're running out of time in the gaming session. You speed up time, jump past the planned scenario part, right to the climax. You can even jump right to the ending. You can say, you wander into the town. I'm going to use my benediction. We jump ahead, and now you're at your goal. You've left town and you found your way to the spring in the hills that you were headed for, and here we are. Let's play out the end of the game. So it's, again, massive scene framing power to the point where you can point to the rules and you can say that, well, the game says I can just skip all this. It's fascinating. Totally fascinating. I have never seen that amount of power given to a player in a role-playing game really before, outside of some sort of story-focused authority models. This is a fairly traditional game in terms of that authority outside these abilities. So, benediction to control time, kind of a big deal. You can have benediction to control fate. You can declare this benediction before a roll, and you can automatically cause a fumble or a crit. Again, costs an LP to use, but you can just cause a crit or cause a fumble. Right? GM horseshit like crazy. Dragon horseshit. So that's a thing that you have the ability to do. Again, there's a big cost. This is why you only have 3 LP as a dragon. And then lastly, benediction, which controls NPCs. And these are intense. These are ways to modify encounter stuff. So I can, for example, create an elite enemy. A monster's HP increases by its level times 3. It becomes impervious to status effects, and if the monster already has status effects, it sheds them. So this is like, okay, cool. You're fighting the group of slimes. You've killed off most of the slime. Uh-oh. One of the slimes has a little crown on his head. That's the boss slime. I'm going to spend an LP, and boom. Now this boss slime triples their hit points, and you can't status effect them. Now you got to fight, right? So it's a way to suddenly emerge this boss from a crowd of lesser foes. You can spend an LP to use Murder of Crows, which allows you to group a bunch of creatures together and treat them as one single enemy. So if you have a ton of goblins, you can use the ability to merge them into one mega goblin horde. And what that does is, for every 3 monsters you jam into the horde, its attack and damage increase by +1, but then it only acts as 1 monster. And again, you have to spend it. You spend an LP to do that. You can automatically succeed at a surprise check, so surprise attack benediction. You can, I love this one. It's called We Meet Again. You spend an LP, and a single NPC who is supposed to have died returns, no longer dead. Like, you have that in the rules. It's just allowed. You're just allowed to do that. There's a cost for it. It's mechanized, which is fascinating. Like, I think these benedictions are some of the most interesting things from a GM perspective in the game. So you can just bring back an NPC. You can also use run away. So a single NPC can run away from the PCs. It automatically succeeds. There's no check. They get away. They escape. This is you hold left and right bumper, and they disappear. Maybe they drop some gold. So you're not, again, if you think about it, by creating rules for these things, you are then not allowed to just do them. There's a cost involved. So if I want to bring an NPC back from the dead, I can't just do it. I have to spend an LP and use the benediction, We Meet Again. And if I do that, by the flip side, I have the authority to just say it happens. So that arch nemesis that you killed, that NPC that was following you, that was helping you, that fell in the river and died, nope, they're alive. Hooray! Or boo, depending on how you feel about them. So that's a thing that you can do. It's pretty cool. So those are abilities that I have as a Ryujin. Now, I also get, I think I get a reveal, I think is how it's pronounced. I get a fort. Let me take a look at my reveal here. So, let's see. Reveals are, here we go. The region begins with no reveal. So we'll talk about my reveal when I get to level 2. It's some more special abilities that I can get. Okay, so let's finish up here. I've just got a little bit of detail to add. So I need to decide for my Ryu. I need to add in what they want, and their personality and what have you. So, all right. So choose a name. Choose an appearance. I'm gonna make this. Let's make this a young dragon. So appearance and personality. We're gonna say Basil is a curious young Ryu. He is inexperienced, and this is his first journey. Yeah. What does he look like? He is a bit nerdy. He wears thick glasses and constantly is adjusting them. He doesn't like, okay, some more space. He doesn't like to be seen, and so hides in his parrot form most of the time. He is still a bit uncertain about his role as a Ryujin, and will keep his distance. Never. He can't. Okay, little nerd dragon. There you go. Okay, so, yeah, Basil's like a little bit like uncertain. He kind of doesn't really know what to do. He's a bit of a nerd, but he's like kind of excited, and he wants to learn and grow, right? So he's more of like an observer. He's not sure if he wants Senpai to notice him or not. You know, this is sort of our like shy anime protagonist character, and he's gonna try to help, but I think sometimes he's gonna like probably bumble it a little bit and like maybe get in the way sometimes by accident. But he means well, and he wants to grow. He wants to build his you know, his confidence as a Ryujin. So we got his personality. We got a little bit about his appearance. And we want to choose his goal. So each Ryujin has a purpose in mind as they guide the story of the traveler. For example, I want to write a tale involving beautiful scenes and delicious foods. I want to create a tale of continuous laughter. I want to write a tale where the travelers follow their dreams. So I'm going to pick a goal for Basil. I want to tell a tale of confidence and excitement, because he's afraid of excitement, but with the PC's help, maybe he can learn to become more comfortable and confident in his powers. And he wants the player's confidence to reflect on him, right? Because the Ryujin grow based on what the players do. So he wants them to be confident too, and he wants to be you know, a more powerful Ryujin by eating their stories of confidence and excitement. Now, as living quarters, each Ryujin makes their home in a mysterious place. We write down the size, appearance, and other details as we see fit. So a palace at the top of a mountain, a tower in the middle of a clear crystal lake, a small retreat hidden behind a grand waterfall. I am going to say that his living quarters are a forgotten room in an ancient library. So he lives in a library because he's a big old nerd. Okay, So we'll write down our protected travelers and our protected worlds once we have them. Our protected travelers, this is interesting because this is where all the PCs will list their names. But protected worlds, this means that we could have Basil the Wise travel from campaign world to campaign world. So I can use this character with other groups or in other worlds with the same group, which I think is kind of cool, right? Kind of neat. And then we'll record our travel history for this character as we go. All right. So I have my first Ryujin. Let's rename our page here because it's not just Ryujin sheet. This is Basil the Wise, Midori Ryu. There we go. And that is good. Okay, cool. So that's my Midori Ryu. He's ready to roll. So now what we need to do is we need a setting for this. Now we need to build the world, and we need to build a town for that world, because I'd like the journey to at least have one town in it, maybe a city. We'll build more, but let's talk about how that works in the game, because it's a little bit different. So the world of Ryuutama, all that is true about it is that it's a world of dragons and fantasy. It's a world of nature and seasons and strange monsters. Human civilization exists with a culture that evokes Western Europe during an idealized sort of pleasant Middle Ages or Renaissance period, but also has some of the feel of an old Japanese town or traditional model. So what's funny here is that what they're saying, I think, is the world is always kind of the anime idea of a medieval world. Right? Like, it's what did Japan in the 80s to now, or 70s to now, think that the medieval world would be like in an anime, in a pastoral anime? So we got to capture that vibe, that kind of anime vibe. Between the villages and towns that we'll create, fields stretch across the lands, travelers walk the roads, merchants travel by horseback and carriage. In the towns, artisans and merchants live in quiet boroughs and sell their wares in bustling marketplaces. Inside carefully constructed castles, lovely princes and princesses, royal families, and honored knights live and do their nightly business. So for us, what we would do here, there's essentially two ways to build the world, and then these are not just me suggesting them. This is from the game directly. So you can create the world in the middle of the campaign. It suggests that as a method if you are not accustomed to the game yet. You play a few sessions in a vaguely defined world, and once you're all kind of familiar with the vibe, then you build the world together. And I would do that normally. That would be the route if I was playing at the table. That's what I would do. Since you draw upon the experiences that you had. But I want to do this with you. I want to do this with chat and with my audience. So I think you're going to be my players, because we're going to use the other one. Before the campaign starts, you can sit down together and build the world. Now, normally this would be me and Dave and Andrew and Hillary building the world, but instead today it's going to be me and you, dear folks watching this live. So all we have to do is just answer some questions. We're going to talk about it and figure out what our world is going to be like. Let's save the name of the world for last, but we need to determine the shape of the world, some key points in the history of the world, some representative countries, because this game's all about travel, right? Some threats in the world, and some enigmas, some things that we don't quite know about the world yet. So let's start with the shape of the world. So the shape of the world it's the physical shape. Is the world a sphere? Is it a flat disc? Is it a plate balancing on the back of a turtle? Is it a multi-level tower? Is it a world of air and floating continents where dragons or airships travel from world, like space to space? What do we want? I was thinking, I have a thought. You can tell me what you think. I was thinking a world whose countries are nestled in the branches of a giant tree. I've had for reasons Norse mythology in mind a lot lately. So I was kind of thinking it would be fun to have little like countries in the trees, like an Yggdrasil kind of thing. And we could incorporate some of the other stuff, like the traveling, but I think a world tree would be really cool. And then down in the roots, we could have like dwarves and stuff, and like in the upper branches, maybe some like bird people. You know, we can fill the world with all kinds of stuff. So yeah, let's go with world tree, maybe planet tree. And because if we get tired of this, we can just make another world, right? And we can just Ryuutama in that world. But for this one, let's make a big old world tree. So continents, there we go, are nestled among the many branches of a mighty world tree. Cool. And so each, like, I'm thinking like country-sized or continent-sized areas nestled among these trees. And if you want to go to another, you travel along the branches of a tree, but it's not just like a big wooden road. Like there's dirt and mountains and all that stuff within the journeys between the two. Yeah, and sometimes you have to go into the trunk. Sometimes you're going up or down. You have to climb. I kind of like the idea. Remember, it's a metaphor. It's a literal space too. But we can zoom quite far out, and we can think about what's on the branches as not just like literal branches. But yeah, so it'll give us a mix there, with different people and cultures living among them. Travelers can visit these other places by long journeys across the branches, but there are some civilizations that build ships to travel the skies. Yeah, I like that idea too. You gotta have airships. You just gotta. It's very important. Airships are very important. Yes, many branches. Cool. Okay. So, world history. Record in brief a few major events that have occurred in the world. So the suggestion here is like 100 years ago, a demon king plunged the world into darkness, but the world was saved by a hero. Several hundred years ago, there's a great civilization based on magic, but it fell apart. So let's say, I really like the idea of dwarfs, of having like Final Fantasy IV style, like magma dwelling dwarfs among the roots. So maybe in ages long past, the dwarfs planted the seed for the world tree. Yeah, so maybe the dwarfs planted the seed, and then and then rain, right? Because rain had to come to like grow the tree. So the sky dragon rained down on the earth for 100 years to nourish the tree. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Sky dragon. Okay, and then what happened? Maybe humans began dwelling in simple bliss among the newly grown leaves and branches. Yeah, everything was great because they were like cavemen and living in the branches, and then something bad happened. Maybe something really bad. What could have happened? What sort of bad thing could have occurred? Ooh, I know. One of the human civilizations began cutting branches from the tree to make their cities. Deforestation. Ooh. Yeah, I like it. The tree became terribly sick. And then maybe a group of heroes journeyed into the heart of the tree and brought back the secrets of magic. Yeah, that's cool. And then humans use magic to broker a peace with the tree and learned to live in harmony. Yeah, cool. Harmony and stuff. Who doesn't like some harmony? I'm just going to change my font size because I'm typing too much. That is too big. That is not a good font size for me. How about font size 16? Perfect. Oh, what the hell? There we go. Okay, great. And everything's great. Everything's great and pastoral and nice. And then, yeah, and now like things are great, but this gives us some room to make things not good. Don't worry. When we get down here to World Enigmas, then we can do it. And then the sky dragon swallowed the sun. Yeah, what a jerk. Okay, cool. Representative countries. So let's come up with some countries. So we need a country or two that best represents the world and describes them briefly. So I figure we have something. These are all, they have to be heims, right? Like Ironheim and stuff. And I think we want the like remnants of the old empire that like cut down some of the branches, right? Like they're like they're in penitence. They're like they've all become like culturally like ascetics or something, where they're like, we're sorry, we're trying to make up, the tenders of the tree, right? Like yeah. So let's call these ones. I like one country being called These are like kind of they were the bad guys, but maybe they're trying not to be the bad guys. Ooh, Sawheim. I like that. Nice. Okay, cool. The remnants of the ancient culture that took from the tree. Now trying to make amends for their past sins. I like that. Ooh, Sawheim. Ah, that's good. Scary. Okay, cool. What else we got? We want to have one that's kind of our generic human culture that represents, like, this is probably where the game is going to mostly take place. We'll call this one like something pastoral and cute, like something about a blossom, or yeah, something about like blossoms or saplings or like new growth. And Normalheim. I mean, we could just call this Midgard, right? Like the middle world. Elohim. Let's see. Let's try to move away. Let's get something that isn't a Heim this time. Yeah, Leafguard. Ooh, I like Leafguard. Okay. Okay, so Leafguard. The largest human civilization living in relative harmony with the world tree. Cool. All right, Leafguard. There you go. And then also we want something about the dwarves. So something for them, for the dwarfs, like something about roots or something like that. I think that would be cool. Yeah, definitely like the Root Nation. Ooh, I know, the Empire of Roots. The oldest known civilization hidden in the darkness among the roots where the dwarfs hold court. Okay, cool. So this is our like, maybe you'll go there someday, but it's like kind of like partly like secret and hidden. I like it. Cool. The Empire of Roots. Okay, cool. So these are a couple of representative countries. There are more, obviously, but these are things that we can put in into our world. So world threats. So, oh my god, the dwarf should be led by the Lump King. I love it. It's in. Led by the Lump King, mightiest dwarf. Okay, good. The Lump King. So things, world threats, something that threatens the lives or livelihood of all living things in the world. It's okay to have none, but let's come up with one, right? Some kind of like, and I want this to be an intelligent threat, not just like the tree might get sick again. maybe like a demon or something. Yeah. Like something like nasty. What's something that like beetles or something? Something that eats trees. Something that's like bad for trees, like beetle demons or something like that. I kind of like it. Ooh, yeah. I mean, yeah, giant demon grubs and stuff. Or yeah, I like it. Demon beetles gnawing on the tree. There are rumors spreading that folks have seen strange demon beetles gnawing on the tree in places far from civilization. And we'll just leave it as kind of like a rumor right now. We'll fill it in. But maybe there are these like scary demon grub beetle species that want to like hollow out the tree because they feed on it, right? Okay, cool. Yes, good. I'm into it. All right, and then world enigmas. So a puzzle or a secret of the people of the world either have not yet discovered or know about but don't understand. Leave the truth behind the enigma for the GM to reveal. So things like, no one knows what lies on the other side of the Great Wall, the edge of the world. It said there are 88 secret treasures hidden within the world. I want to do something about fruit, right? Something about the fruiting of the great tree. So it is said that a golden apple grows in the highest branches and will grant whoever eats it their one true desire. It's a nice anime thing, and we can add more enigmas to the world. But yeah, obviously, a magical golden apple that grants you your one true desire at the top of the tree. Sold, right? There we go. We just made a world, right? So now we need a name for the world. I mean, I think like the world tree, branches of the world tree, Yggdrasil, Idris Elba, that kind of thing. We're good. Cool. So there we go. We just made a God, and the seasons would be so cool because the seasons would change for everyone all at the same time. And like the leaves that fall in autumn would be huge, right? So like you would make like, oh man, that's so cool. I love it. Yeah. Ooh, I like Arborea. That's nice too. Cool. Yeah. So now we have a setting for our world. We've got kind of a vibe. We got some stuff we can throw in. And remember, in a game, in your game, if you're going to play Ryuutama, you can either do this as you play through the world, you can develop it, or you can sit down as a group of players and make this stuff up yourself. So cool. Now let's make a town. Now I don't have to create machi, but I want to so that I have one prepared. So this is going to be a town in the country of, what do we call it? Normalberg? Leafguard. So a town in Leafguard. And when we make a town, it's exactly the same thing. So to make a town, usually the GM will determine the town's name and population first to fit it into the scenario. And from there, the GM and the players will discuss the other 6 spaces and fill them in together. Now, you're going to be my players for this. So I want a medium-sized town. So we'll call it... let's make it a town, right? And it's got to have a cute, like, tree-related name. So it's a town, which means it has between 500 and 5,000 people. I'm going to assume this is probably on the small side. It's a smaller town. This won't be the town that the travelers are setting out to, but it might be our first town they encounter. They might come into it. And a sap mining town called Sticky Town. But this is like Want, right? This is our first village that we see. Sapton, that's nice. It's somewhere up in the medium branches. It's kind of a normal pastoral town. So we'll come back to it. Bloomberg. That's really cute. Bloomberg is like a bigger city, I think. I like something about like a bud or Yeah, I think Sapton's pretty good. Let's call it Sapton. Okay, so there we go. So it's Sapton. It's a population between 500 and 5,000. We need to determine a ruler or representative, the system of government. So who rules Sapton? Who rules Bartertown? So in Sapton, what is it? Who are the ruler or representative, right? So what's the government system of Sapton? I'm thinking probably like like a council of merchants or something. Oh my god, the High Sapton, get out! Boo. I like having a mayor because mayors are a fun trope to have. Yeah, Burgermeister, but yeah, like a council of merchants and business owners. Their representative is a mayor named, I kind of want to name him Bloomberg, but oh my god, the executive branch. I should have known that you would do this to me. You people are terrible. Let's call him named I kind of like Bloomberg. I'm doing it. All right. There we go. God, the executive branch. It's a war crime, not a pun. There we go. Okay. So Mayor Bloomberg runs Sapton, and yeah, it's the town of Sapton, led by a council of merchants and business owners. Okay, so the environment in which the town stands, a town deep in a wispy wood, a city deep in a windy valley. I think we talked about this being a mining town. A mining town in the hilly terrain surrounding deep amber deposits. A rocky area with a sort of wilderness, Wild West feeling. There we go. Cool. So it's sort of our it's our Deadwood. No, the puns. Okay. So it's a little mining town, rocky area, wilderness, Wild West, Deadwood kind of thing. Yep, I like it. Okay, so representative buildings. Think of a building and some features that are representative of the town. So let's say the council hall, a big stone building in the middle of town. Okay, so there's the council hall. Let's see, what else would they need? They would need the Miners Guild, a raucous, did I spell that right? A raucous inn and tavern where miners go to blow off steam. Okay, we're gonna throw a little Magitech in here. You ready? You ready? Here we go. The Tower of a Strange Inventor who creates machines to do the work that is too dangerous or just dangerous. Too dangerous for regular folks. So this is where we get our like robo, right? There's a weird inventor. There's Luca, and Luca lives out in the branches, and a saloon called the Tap House. Listen, we can't blow all of our tree puns right away. We gotta save some for later. These are all really good. So this is where the strange inventor builds machines that do the like hard work. I like it. Okay. And then specialty goods. The town is known for its beautiful amber jewelry. Ooh, that's a misspelling. Jewelry? I never know how to spell that word. Beautiful amber jewelry. It's particularly sticky sap deposits and a thick ale known as, okay, now you can hit me with a pun. I need a beer pun. We need a beer pun for this town. something good. Somebody, and it's an amber ale, obviously, but Heartwood ale, tree beer. Yeah, I mean amber ales, obviously. Ooh, lager. I like that. I like it. Okay, we're doing it. We're gonna go with the lager pun. So, miner's lager, because logging and it's a tree. I got it. All right. Or just lager. Anyway, so the miner's lager, and it's a special beer they have here that they serve to the miners. Shouldn't serve beer to miners. That's illegal. Okay, so now we need some sensory impressions. Think about, this is our apocalyptica to be barfing forth later. We think about what sort of sensory impression a traveler might get from the town. White painted walls with orange roofs, the smell of bread baking, the babble of nearby stream. Let's think of some sense stuff here. So, the smell of sap everywhere. I guess sap doesn't necessarily smell. Everything is sticky. I think it's sticky with sap. The roads, the walls, people. It's a sticky town. Okay, so there's like a little bit of like kind of stickiness to everything. Probably no one has like beards or long hair because they get like gummed up. Let's see. Ooh, yeah, I like it. Okay, so let's see. So lots of deep browns and yellows with amber prevalent throughout. All right, so lots of amber, lots of that color. The palette is very sort of falsy and deep and rich. Let's see. Yeah, totally. It smells like pine resin. Yeah. I love it. Okay, and the scent of pine. The scent of pine in the air. Refreshing smell the whole year through. I like it. Cool. Okay. Yeah, the whole town would be like sticky and shiny and like smell like Lysol. So this is the thing that I think is really fun about doing GM stuff, right? Is that we started with this single little seed, if you'll pardon my pun. You start with a seed, and it grows into this world, right? Like think about there's so many stories we could tell just with Sapton alone, right? So much exciting stuff we could do here, and this is just going to be one stop on a long journey the players will take. So let's add in the town threats. So lastly, come up with a problem currently threatening the town. It might be a specific type of monster, a bandit group, or a drought. If monsters, it might be fun to come up with some new ones that didn't appear in the monster list. I think one of the town's threats is the strange inventor made a mining machine that went haywire and is blocking access to one of the most important mines. The council is getting antsy, and if Mayor Bloomberg doesn't come up with a solution soon, the miners might go on strike. Miners might go on strike. Uh-oh. And that's going to make everybody sad. So let's move this over. And enter the PCs, right? Like that's the whole point of this being there. So, yeah. Exactly. He blocked Mineshaft 9. And I don't mean like it's blocking it because it's just like broken. I mean, it's like angry. And I'm thinking like one of those goblin machines with the big saws for arms, but it's intelligent. And it's, it's like cutting up the ore and like won't let anybody near. And, so obviously you have to send some PCs to go and deal with it. So that's a thing that might happen in the town. So things are a little like grumbly, up in Sapton. So let's rename. This is the world. This is Sapton. We got that one down, and we got Arborea. And now, so the way this is meant to work in the game is that if the players travel to a new town, I can supply some details, and we can pass the sheet around, taking turns filling in spots, right? So you can do this sort of piecemeal approach, or we can all sit and decide together, kind of like what we like about this next town. So keep in mind that the game, what is this saying about the game, right? Like, it's telling us the GM's job is not to make everything up in advance and reveal it to the players. It's not even for the players to explore towns as they come up. It's to make up details about the town that will help us tell a story of an interesting journey, right? We all have our own characters to the point where even the GM has a character. But our main goal here, our plan, isn't to rely on traditional authority structure in role-playing games to tell that story. It's not a story about success or failure. It's a story about exploration. And this game, if you really look at it, if you squint a little bit, it's a lot more like a microscope than like a D&D, right? It's a communal storytelling experience in a lot of places that a more traditional game isn't. It's fascinating seeing a game that is from such a different place culturally, like I mentioned before. So my next job, and this is the part I'm going to do, I'll do this off screen because I want to save some surprises for you, would be to come up with some details for the route, setting up the journey itself. I'm going to polish up on the combat rules. I'm going to get ready for playing the actual like gamey part of the game. And we'll see what the journey looks like. And I think our first session will probably be a journey between where the characters set out through the mountains to Sapton, right? Sapton will probably be where we end or find our next bit. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get all polished up on that stuff before we start. And on Thursday, I hope you will come back at the same time as today. Come back at 11 o'clock Pacific, and I hope you'll join us when we dig in to Ryuutama for the very first time. So thanks for coming. Thank you for helping me build Arborea, build our world, and to get Sapton ready for our players. I will see you again soon for more. So so like I said, 11 o'clock, come on back on Thursday and we'll play some Ryuutama. Thanks for coming, everybody. See you next time.